Hey everyone, welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD, and today we'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 1047 of One Piece. So let's do some quick housekeeping real quick. Hey guys, I missed you. If I've been MIA, it's because a plethora of bullshit has been happening to me, and hopefully I get that all situated and sorted shortly. Long story short, I dropped my laptop. I have all my editing stuff on my laptop. I have all my like it's what I do everything on, all my streaming, all my recording, all my programs and what have you, my SD slot. So I haven't been able to like record and work on some things that I would like to work on, but I have a friend working on it. Hopefully he's able to fix it. If not, may have to buy a new laptop. If I have to do that, that's going to set me back tremendously. So everyone, please, fingers crossed. I'm going to be doing a video soon about a state of the channel address is what I'm going to call it, and about, you know, some changes I'm going to be making, some projects I'm going to be working on, and, you know, things I want to do in the channel moving forward. There's a lot of reviews. I kind of accidentally got stuck doing weekly manga reviews, and even though that's something I want to do, it wasn't the only thing I wanted to do. I haven't touched anime at all, and that's something I want to do on this channel. So yeah, there's a lot that I will be discussing in that state of the channel address. Look forward to that. This might be my last or second to last review in this studio. I'm going to be moving again in like 1 to 2 weeks, so expect that. But yeah, that's what's been going on with me. I'm sorry about that, but I hope to be doing a lot better. Also, I finally decided I'm going to be starting Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm going to be making that my next week to week, and maybe another one. I'm really leaning towards Sakamoto Days, so stay tuned for that. And I think while I'm in the process of reading Jujutsu Kaisen for the first time, I think I'll do like a arc to arc review. I haven't really done anything like that on this channel in a while, so that would be cool. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time on this channel, or you've been here before and haven't done so already, would greatly appreciate it. You could do your boy a solid. Like, share, subscribe. Would mean the world to me. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into this review. Alright everyone, chapter 1047 of One Piece, The Skies Above the Capital. Really cool chapter. Once again, I think this is we kind of brought everything down in the last chapter, and now Oda is once again, think about it like a roller coaster. He's just cranking it up, cranking it up, cranking it up. So crank it up! Bringing us back to that climax, and so I think that's kind of what's happening here. We get a cover spread this time. I'm not the YouTuber reviewer to go over the color spreads. I've always looked at color spreads and been like, oh, this is cool, this looks nice, but I've never really cared about them outside of that. Maybe they're good for collectors and stuff. I know some YouTubers like to go into it and look for clues as to what's happening. I remember the one where we saw, you know, Luffy as, I guess, Ryu from Street Fighter, but his hair was on fire. So, like, apparently people are saying that was the clue for Gear 5th. I guess it makes sense, but you can't really, like, when it comes to stuff like that, you can't really piece it together. You can't really figure it out. But whatever. Really cool cover page. We got obligatory Robin and Nami in the swimsuits. You know how we like that. You know, Luffy messing around. Sanji, I swear, in several color spreads does the exact same thing, where he's like holding 2 plates of food and like yelling at someone. I swear he's constantly doing that in cover spreads. My boy Jinbei looking swole, chonky as fuck, just relaxing. And you know, there's a bunch of other stuff going on. I'm not gonna get really into it. Also, something I failed to mention on like 2 separate other reviews is recently Oda has been doing these like author notes, and I'm very curious why. I was wondering if it's like supposed to be clues, it's supposed to lead up to something. In this particular author note, he talks about one half of the mangaka of Doraemon, and I am assuming that this person has passed because he says rest in peace, and talks about how much of an influence on his art style this particular mangaka was. So I found that to be particularly interesting. But yeah, so Oda's been leaving notes in like the last 3 of his chapters, so I'm wondering if there's another cause for that. Maybe big news is coming. Maybe things are happening in One Piece. And he just wants to, start this note thing and then start slipping in clues or hints and stuff like that. Anyway, let's get into the actual chapter. There's honestly not too much I really want to talk about, so this is going to be on the a shorter review. It's going to be on the shorter side, but there's still a lot to talk about. So we kind of start off this chapter with a flashback, and at first I was confused as hell. I thought it was Hiyori talking to Momo, and I was like, why is Momo like small again? Why is he saying I want to go with Hiyori if she's like, and then I was like, oh, this is a flashback. So that was like a dumb moment for me. But long story short, this is, before they get sent into the future, Momo basically being told he's being sent to the future. The Scabbards, I guess, asking to go with him. I think maybe originally the plan was to send Momo, which I don't think that makes quite a lot of sense, but it looks like they're like, we want to fight. We don't want to stay here and burn. We don't want to die. And she sends them all into the future. There's a lot of emotional moments. Momo sees, I was about to say Kanjuro, not Kanjuro. Kinemon, basically begging, having pride as a samurai. And in that moment, I think Momo feels a little embarrassed for himself, feels a little bit like he's scared, but I think he feels embarrassed that he's like, this is what a real man acts and looks like. This is what a real samurai of Wano acts and looks like. I'm the son of Lord Odin. Odin is dead. I have to step up to the table. And I think in that moment, after all that bawling and crying and whining, to see Kinemon basically nut up and be like, this is an embarrassment, for not talking about Momo, but talking about himself. I would rather die fighting. I don't want to be a coward. Momo realizes, hey, I'm actually acting like a coward. Let me stop this right now. If Kinemon can act like this, if Kinemon can go out dying, I can too. I feel really bad for Momo though. I feel like a lot of people can empathize with the fact that this kid is 8 years old. This kid is 8 years old, and a lot has been put on his plate. And there's been, numerous, child leaders throughout history, kings that, were elementary school age when they became kings. And we know that it's possible, but it's not something that you want done. It's not something that's done in, the best of circumstances. It's almost always a last resort kind of situation. And that's how I feel like it's going on here. So, Momo was just put into a really tough situation where he just kind of had to nut up or shut up and, try to save his people. So that is quite admirable and respectful, and I fuck with it. So yeah, that Momo had that little flashback, and he's like, I could never face my mom if I left things like this. So I think that's just Oda building up that my man is going to produce these flame clouds, and he's going to get this job done. So we'll see how he does that. So we flash back to Kaido versus Luffy. Everyone's bread and butter. And, it's back exactly where we left off, where Luffy is holding the lightning bolt, and Kaido sees this, and he is just commenting on the fact that, he's clarifying that Luffy is, in fact, holding a lightning bolt. And once again, I think this is the second time Kaido has addressed, maybe the second or third time Kaido has addressed Luffy's powers as being ridiculous. Luffy hurls the lightning bolt style. Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! Lightning bolt! At Kaido. However, it misses, doesn't really do anything. Once again, I really don't think Luffy quite has a grasp on his powers, and it misses, and then immediately, I believe Kaido counterattacks. And then, Luffy gets some separation, tries to attack again. It looks almost as if, oh, sorry to cut myself off. Something I want to mention about the lightning bolt. When he throws the lightning bolt, he goes, Gumu Gumu no lightning bolt. So I thought that was really interesting. So I was wondering if there was a reason Oda wasn't having him use the Gumu Gumu no names, as kind of a clue or a hint that Luffy knows himself something's up, something's not quite right. So, interesting about that. Anyway, after he gets separation from Kaido again, it looks like he's going to do a Gum Gum stamp, which is, where he shoots his leg out. It almost looks like he's going to do it almost looks like he ends up doing a Gumu Gumu no Gigante stamp, right? But, Kaido immediately sees it coming, whooshes over, kind of looks like he does Soryu, probably not Soryu, just Kaido's own super fast speed, comes up and clocks the ever-loving mess out of Luffy, right? So yeah, Kaido proceeds to go the ever-loving in on Luffy, just completely attacking him. There's a point where Luffy does something really cool where he grabs another lightning bolt, proceeds to swing on it and come off, which I'm not understanding how that works, because if lightning is shooting down, it should be happening at almost, well, actually, lightning doesn't quite travel at the speed of light, does it? I remember Googling this once and being curious, because the light it creates does, but lightning actually travels slower than the speed of light, which I know sounds weird. It's because of the particles. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But yeah, Luffy spins around. Kaido's done with it, and he is just hitting Luffy with a bunch of moves, and he says something that I really, really appreciate, that I really, really love, and it's like, it doesn't matter how strong or how powerful, and I'm so glad this was said. This is something that needed to be said in One Piece overall. And he says it doesn't matter how strong or ridiculous or overpowered your devil fruit is, at the end of the day, such hurdles can only be overcome by Haki. And I'm so glad that Oda said this for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, I have said since the beginning of this series, before I did reviews, when I was just a casual reader who just loved this, that something needs to be introduced to handle Logias. There has to be some kind of force in this world to fight Logias, because we find out as soon as Logias are introduced, as soon as we find out they can't be hit, I was like, okay, yeah, this is ridiculous, this can't fly. And I literally thought to myself, Luffy can't finesse every single Logia battle. He can't just, there can't always be a loophole, water, something that's going to help him. There has to be some means to an end when it comes to this. But a lot of people don't believe Haki was created or worked the same way from the beginning of the series. I'm on the fence about that. I truly believe that Haki is something Oda had always planned, just because once again, you have to have some kind of measure of counter against things like Logias and just the insane abilities devil fruits have. You have to have some form of equalizer. It had to have happened. But there are things that happen that bother me, namely, for example, if Haki did exist, how did Shanks lose his arm? Once again, most people in the fandom are going to say something along the lines of, he betted on the next generation. I hate that excuse. I absolutely abhor that excuse. I hate it. I will run with it, but it's not my headcanon, I just hate it. Another reason I like that it's being said is I just think it's important to note that a lot of people feel like in this world, if you have a strong devil fruit, that's enough to secure you, power. That's enough to become, the Pirate King. And I just love that Oda's saying straight up right now, no, and that anyone could have it. And I like that it's kind of making Luffy's ability a new devil fruit not as OP, even though it really is. But it's Oda's way of saying, hey, it doesn't matter if someone has this devil fruit or not, you still at the end of the day have to be a Haki master. It doesn't matter how legendary or mythical, or if you have the right devil fruit, you still need Haki. You still have to rely on Haki, and Haki is important. I know so many people that don't wish Haki wasn't even a part of the series. One of my best anime friends hates Haki, thinks it never should have been introduced, thinks it should have been devil fruits the whole time. And this is Oda essentially saying no, this was always a necessity, this was always going to be a reality, and this is something that everyone needs to understand. Also, I really love that we finally something major, finally a huge confirmation we get in this chapter is, without a doubt, Roger did not have a devil fruit. It is canon now. It is confirmed. Mark it on your calendars. 1047. It is official. Roger did not have a devil fruit. That honestly increases him to such a height, to such a GOAT level of the fact that he was able to become the one and only true Pirate King without the aid or use of a devil fruit. And that just makes his accomplishments so much higher. That makes Garp so much higher. It means so much for this series. It means that you don't have to have the greatest devil fruit. It means you don't have to have XYZ. You can become the greatest based on Haki alone. And I like that idea, because at the end of the day, what is Haki? Willpower, motivation, strength, your drive, right? And so I do like the idea that as long as you have a will that is surpassed by none, you can stand above the rest. And so I do like that and do think that was a necessity to have. And I'm glad that this was clarified in this chapter. So after that, Kaido uses another form of Thunder Bagua, Death Thunder Bagua, which apparently is named after some kind of god that was notorious for defeating the god of death, aka Enma. So I'm wondering, if we're gonna have any relation to Emma soon. But anyway, we move back and we're seeing the Fire Festival, right? And we see all these lanterns flying, and people, these wishes, people say hoping the ancestors see them. And I read a really, really interesting comment on Reddit where someone was saying they have a theory, that there's a popular theory going around right now that Momo might actually use the Firefest lanterns to help create the flame clouds to hold Onigashima. So I think that is kind of interesting, and you can also see that the lanterns themselves are kind of floating over to Onigashima. Also, something I want to mention is you guys have probably heard me bitch and moan several times in my reviews about the fact that how is Onigashima, like, how have they not seen it yet? How have they not looked up? On several of the other chapters, it has looked like Onigashima was directly above the flower capital. And I think honestly it might have been a couple times. I wasn't under the impression that Momo actually managed to move it, but a lot of people have said that it does appear that Momo has had some success in moving Onigashima. So who knows? But I am still shocked and baffled and appalled that by this point that they have yet to see Onigashima looming over them, this sort of Damocles kind of trope going on right now, right? And so after that, we move back to the samurai and the beast pirates on Onigashima. They're screaming. The island, there's still fire in some places. The island is tilting, and what's his name? Hyogoro is basically like, no, this is good. The fact that the island is falling means that Kaido is weakening, which I am glad we got confirmation on that. At first, I thought it was simply going to be a matter of, oh, it's because of the water that Jinbei and Raizo released. But at this point in time, the water hasn't actually come down yet. And the reason I know this is because as I'm literally reading and thinking that, water comes down and washes out the area that a couple of them are in. So I was like, okay, yeah. Also, I kind of assumed that the water would be the one to take out the flame clouds, but at the end of the day, the flame clouds are kind of on the outside of the castle, and the water was released on the inside. I thought it might, get out, but honestly, I think, like I said last chapter, it's just gonna be a matter of it's gonna flush the inside, the fire on the inside, and then funnel out. Maybe the outside of Onigashima isn't burning as much. I don't really know how Oda wants to play this. And maybe, everyone inside safely gets funneled out, or someone does something. Maybe, Yamato can freeze the water, create some kind of ice slide. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Something that happened that kind of pissed me off though is apparently the tremors kind of shook out the sea stone nail that Hiyori had stabbed what's his name, Orochi with. So Orochi immediately, both surviving everything that's happening, the collapse, and being burned by the Kazembo, transforms into his Yamato no Orochi mode and is ready to rampage again. So I wonder what Hiyori is going to do. I kind of really wanted to see her sword fight. She's also the daughter of Odin. We do know that in One Piece, women can kick ass, and so it would have been nice to see her maybe have I would have loved to for her to have picked up sword fighting in these 20 years, and she's just been secretly biding her time, honing her skills for this moment. I really don't want it to be a situation where she has to be saved. I really want her to stand on her own 2 feet and kind of do this. She was raised by Kawamatsu for a while. She was surrounded by samurai. I know that most of the time she was being an Orin, a geisha and stuff like that, but I never liked the fact that even when people thought that, oh, this is how Orochi was gonna die, I didn't like that. It seemed very lackluster. It seemed boring. So even though I'm annoyed that he's back, but I'm also annoyed that's not how he dies. But I need him to die now. I'm tired of all these fake out deaths. A lot of people are tired of these fake out deaths. I just want to see what Oda has in store for him, what exactly he wants to happen. I hope it's not like a Cersei Lannister kind of moment where he does die, but in a very lackluster way. Also back to the samurai and the beast pirates on the island. Hyogoro says, would you rather, die, like Luffy defeat Kaido and, Onigashima crashes and die, but, all of our family and loved ones will be safe, right? Or would you prefer, Kaido to win and we live just a little bit longer but under subjugation? Actually, I was kind of bothered because he doesn't go into it. He says we live a little bit longer, and I was wondering, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like you live for a little bit and then Kaido comes and kills you because you betrayed him, or you live for a little bit as slaves when he eventually retakes over Wano? So I found that to be very interesting, but it seems like the general consensus was, all right, we're down to die, and I'm wondering how they're going to, like, it seems like Hyogoro and friends are going to somehow contribute or do something to aid in Luffy's victory. Anyway, to wrap up this review, we're going to talk about the last moments of this chapter. And, after Luffy gets knocked back up into the sky, he reaches down his arm and grabs Kaido and starts kind of yanking Kaido up towards him. Kaido's not about that action, and also, like, is pretty much like, hey, you're giving away your position, and starts firing off a bunch of these, wind blasts. I was about to say wind scars. Fires off a bunch of these wind blasts. He's like, you're giving away your position, and you're still weak against cutting damage, which is very true. Luffy's main weakness has always been cutting damage. And I'm also curious for when Buggy comes back, because Buggy's immune to cutting damage but very susceptible to blunt damage. So I'm wondering if that parallel is ever gonna play in again. And so, as Luffy's dodging, but he's taking attacks, he's being hurt, and we see in the last panel of this chapter a giant fist. And when I say giant fist, I'm not talking about like Gear 3rd giant. I'm talking about like massively giant, because you see Kaido in his dragon form, and we know Kaido in his Kaido form is humongous, and this fist looks almost the size of like Kaido's entire dragon form. Now, I think it's about perception. I don't really think it's the entire size of Kaido's dragon form. It's definitely bigger than Kaido's head in dragon form, but like, oh my god, I cannot wait to see him get hit by this. I also think it was funny, I was reading a bunch of comments and they said the exact same thing I thought, which was like, Oda was saying, I don't think people will be satisfied by Kaido being felled by like one super punch. And then one of the cops was like, well, how about a really cool super punch? And like, that's essentially how it feels. Like, we wouldn't be, but like, if it looks cool like this, absolutely. But yeah, that fist looks scary. I wouldn't want to be hit with it. It is massive. It is covered in haki, and yeah, it looks like it is ready to do some damage. And here comes the crazy part. It looks like Luffy is releasing this punch regardless, and he straight up tells Momo, yo, you need to get this island out of here, because I'm punching Kaido with or without Onigashima here. So whatever happens, I'm just gonna trust you to move it, because this fist is coming whether you do or not. So he's really like Luffy, in typical Luffy fashion, is really lighting that fire under Momo, really forcing him to grow up quickly, really forcing him to do what he needs to do, not letting Momo have a second like chance to question or guess. It's like do or die. Do it in this moment or everything's screwed. So I can't wait to see how Momo motivates himself, how Momo was able to produce these flame clouds. He's gonna be able to do it, we all know it, but I'm very curious how it goes, and the aftermath of this punch, if this punch is actually going to hit Kaido, which I think it is, because Luffy has a firm grasp of Kaido with one hand. Even though Kaido did transform into a dragon, I think to maybe try to get free or dodge or whatever Luffy's trying to do, Luffy has a firm grip on him. And that fist is too big to fail, and yeah, someone is getting hit. So yeah, this was a really cool chapter. I know a lot of people are happy, because like I know Mr. Morge, for example, is definitely one of them. He was saying that this chapter was going to be Luffy getting his butt whooped, and it was. We still have yet to get an obligatory flashback from Kaido, more backstory from Kaido. I really want to learn more. I want to learn more about how he learned about Joy Boy, why he wanted to be Joy Boy, when he gave up on being Joy Boy. I want to know if Kaido has an awakening as well, or if what we've seen from him has been part of his awakening. But there are so many great things going on right now, And I'm actually very excited for one of my personal theories to come true. I'm just messing up words today, guys. But one of my personal theories to come true, which was, I have said almost every major fight or battle that Luffy has, especially in the New World, he has defeated the big bad in front of everyone that they have subjugated, that they have oppressed. And I think it's important narratively and story wise, and thematically, that people see Kaido fall. Like, there have been many defeats of Luffy, but people haven't actually seen it, so people didn't believe it, right? And you need that belief. And it's not enough for just Kaido, like, oh, I defeated Kaido. Like, no, you're gonna have, like, no way, I don't believe it. That monster, like, what? No way. Like, you would be looking over your shoulder all the time. You wouldn't really think it to be true. But if Luffy lands this punch, sends him flying to, the Flower Capital, sends him flying underneath to where the Fire Festival, where everyone is gathered, and the fight continues from there. It would be kind of dangerous for it to continue from there. So maybe the last punch or the knockout punch is what lands him there. I just need everyone to see Kaido on the ground with Luffy above him, hopefully in this, Joy Boy godly state, and it really sends home the point, like, wow, oh my god, like, Kaido has fallen. Kaido's been beaten, and what? Look at Luffy. Luffy's Joy Boy. Luffy's Sun God Nika. He's going to, bring Wano into the Dawn. He's going to liberate us. Like, everything we've suffered is over. We're going to open our borders. Lady Toki's dream, premonition, prophecy has come to full order. Still, you haven't given up hope that she might possibly still be alive. Like, she'll die when she gets here, but she may have sent herself for it. So I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a lot going on, but yeah, amazing chapter. I still, think it's a little bit, not as hype as some of the other ones, but I think once again, it's just leading us up to another great climax that we're going to enjoy from there. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you for being patient with me. This has been Otaku Talk. I'm your host, OD. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And guys, have a great weekend. Take care. Peace.